If I can have everybody's attention here in the media center, we are now joined by crew chief Rodney Childers, the crew chief for the number 4 Budweiser Jimmy John Chevrolet, the winning car in today's 46th annual AAA 400. And Rodney, a lot of pressure on your team, and once again the 4 team responds. What was going through your mind in the final laps of this race?
I feel like everybody's so far away down there. Hey, Jeff. I don't even remember what was going through my mind. It seems like when you get in a situation like that, where you're leading there at the end, there's just so many things that every lap I would turn around to 3 and 4 where I could see the center of the corner and make sure the car was there again. And there's just so many things that can go wrong, and it seems like we've had a lot of them this year. So it was just nice to have a fast car and to have things go smoothly today, and just all honesty, we've made mistakes, and that's something that you can't do as a race team to win a championship, and it was nice not to have those today.
Good deal. We'll open the floor up for questions. We'll start with Jim Utter, and we'll go to Jeff Gluck, and we'll work our way around.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. The last 2 races, coming in, you talked about a lot of pressure, but the one constant was in all the races that you obviously had fast cars and speed. Did that kind of allay your concern a little bit coming into this race, or is it still a lot of really big pressure?
Well, we felt like we had done a good job of preparing ourselves for the chase, and we got to Chicago, and we had a fast car, and qualifying got rained out, which put us on the pole, and felt like we had the best car in practice, and then we started the race and really wasn't as good as what we thought we were, and it seemed like the racetrack started coming back around, and we started getting better, and then that's when everything kind of broke loose. But going to Loudon, we felt like we had been really strong there. The 2 races previous, we felt like we were taking really one of our best cars there. And really Loudon, I thought we could go up there and we could win, and I thought that we would be fast all weekend, and it turned out that way until 3 laps to go. So this week was a different story. I wasn't 100% positive on everything. I didn't have the warm, fuzzy feeling. This was a car that hadn't been very good before. We had wrecked it at Bristol beginning of the year last year, and when we put a front clip on it, it didn't turn out right, and it always took different slugs than every other car, and just nothing seemed to be right with it. And we ran it at Kentucky earlier this year, and it didn't run good again, and finally I was done with it. We cut the clips off, cut the body off, and said we're going to get it ready for the chase, and that's what everybody did, and they worked really hard on it, and it turned out good in the wind tunnel, and even when they turn out good in the wind tunnel, if they've never run good before, you kind of wonder if you want to take them somewhere. But it did a good job for us all weekend. It had good speed and came through for us.
Okay, we'll go to Jeff next.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Rodney, the cars the last 2 weeks were pretty phenomenal. But at the same time, maybe some teams haven't had to use their best stuff. The JGR guys, if they were in prime position, they don't have to bring out their best cars. Have you guys, had to use your best stuff? Do you still feel like you have bullets left in the tank? And are you at a disadvantage now with maybe not the best resources that you would have had?
I think you hit it on the head. I think we're a little bit at a disadvantage. I'm not really sure what those guys have. That's their deal. But yeah, we've had to pull out cars, that we really didn't want to. And Claire asked me over in Victory Lane if we were ready for Charlotte, and I was like, well, we don't really know what car we're running yet. So we've got a good race team. We've been through situations like this before. We've got good cars sitting at the shop. The car we raced at Loudon last week is already back on the floor, ready to go. If we wanted to race it, we could. We've got a car going to the wind tunnel tomorrow morning that should be good. And then we've got our Charlotte car that we were planning on racing sitting there. So, we've got a good race team, and we've got good cars sitting there, but definitely have had to show more the past 2 weeks than what we really wanted to.
Okay, we'll go next to Kenny, and then to Dustin, and then to Kyle.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Rodney, I think it was before the next to last caution Kevin was talking about maybe a vibration in the car. You guys come in and you only take 2 tires. I'm trying to figure out, well, if it's a loose tire, what if it's not one of the ones you change? How do you guys figure that and make that call?
Well, I mean, we got video on all the guys' helmets. You can tell if it's something like that. We had an instance earlier in the race where a lug nut got knocked off and run a whole field run with 3 on there. But our guys do a good job. They make sure they stay on the nuts long enough and make sure we don't have loose wheels and stuff like that. And as soon as he said that, I just didn't feel like that was a problem. And the guys that are over that stuff, started going over all the video and all that, and they said it all looked good. So at that point, I just blew it off and kept on racing.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Rodney, last year when you guys won when you had to, is at the end of the season. There was so much at stake. I'm sure that helped carry the team forward. They talk about this being more of a people sport. You still got 7 races left after these last 3 races, what you guys have gone through. What kind of an emotional task has this taken on you and on this team, and how do you rebound to do this 7 more times?
Well, in all honesty, winning fixes everything. If we would have lost today, it would have been a downhill spiral, I believe, and probably struggled the next few weeks. And it is all about people. It's all about attitude. It's all about confidence. And our group is good at that. They never waver. They do a great job each and every day. They come into the shop with a smile on their face, and they just make it happen. And I said this a lot last year. I got lucky. I've never been a guy that was good at looking over resumes and interviewing people and figuring out who the best guy was. I go off of my gut instinct and just I don't know how I did it, but I got lucky. And these guys have shown it over and over that they can make stuff happen, and they do a great job at it.
Okay, we're going to come up front to Kyle and then back to Nate.
Kyle Magda, race chaser online. Rodney, I just want to go back to the last pit stop. I know with the, Kenny was saying about the possible vibration, when you took 2 and then Kyle took 4, then the next restart Kyle lined up behind Kevin. Were you getting nervous at all that Kyle had fresher tires, or were you pretty confident that he was going to hold him off there like he did?
No, not at all. They changed the tire this year, and there's really not any fall off anymore. And you can, I think here in the spring we stayed out with 60 laps on our tires and nobody could pass us. So we felt like we had a strong enough car. We watched the 18 and the 78 put 2 tires on earlier. Nobody could really pass them. They ran the exact same lap times they did on 4 tires the run before. And then, that particular run, the 20 had stayed out. He had a bad restart, but once he fell into line, he was faster than what he was earlier in the race on 4 tires. So we felt confident that putting 2 tires on it was going to be just fine.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Rodney, Jimmy Johnson said it was a faulty axle seal that caused them to finish 41st. I know you're no stranger to mechanical failures here with valve stems or whatnot. When you hear that as a crew chief, what do you think of when you think faulty axle seal? How often does that happen? And what is that like to just have that be the thing that eliminates you?
Honestly, it's one of the things that is the scariest of everything that race teams deal with. From the media standpoint, you don't really see that. You think that the race teams worry about engine trouble or things like that. But these axle seal problems, they happen all the time. And a lot of times you don't hear about them. At Martinsville earlier this year, we got done with the race, and the whole inside of the right rear wheel, the brakes, everything was covered with gear lube. There was hardly any gear lube left in the gear. And it's something that all the teams have fought for a long time. We fought it earlier this year. We still change stuff on it. It seems like every week we're looking at those things, trying to figure out how to make them better. Over the winter, we actually went to what Hendrick is running. So now that you said that, it scares me to death. But, it's those things are pretty dangerous. The 14 had it happen not long ago, too. So it's pretty scary.
Any more questions for Rodney Childers? Go to Jeff.
I know you're a calm guy, but were you nervous? I mean, did you have butterflies today, or were you just kind of just letting it happen?
I don't think I really ever felt nervous today. I felt that way last night. The last couple nights, I've just thought about a lot of things, and there's so much in my life that changes from day to day. I'm lucky that I have a family that I do that understands all this stuff, but it's dealing with the person that's on the worst depression thing that they could be on to the guy that's winning a race and happy as he could be when he gets home, and you just deal with that stuff all the time. And it seems like the way things are now at the Chase, it's even harder on all the teams. And but when I woke up this morning, I felt confident. And the thing that scared me the most is I looked through every piece of history I could find last night, and not one time since I've ever been cup racing was the track temp this cold here at Dover while we were racing. And I was like, I don't think it's ever going to rubber up. I don't think it's going to do this. I don't think it's going to do that. I don't know if the balance is ever going to change like it normally does. And really, my engineer and myself, we talked back and forth last night and kept watching old races and looking through notes. And finally, I sent him an email and I said, "Look, man, I don't know what to do. I don't know anything to change other than just leave it alone and we'll deal with it." So we got ready this morning and set it up on scales and wrote all of our numbers down and took it back off the scales and rolled with it. And we just got lucky that it was as good as it was.
Go to Kenny Bruce and then up to Skip.
Kenny Bruce again. Rodney, Kevin led 355 laps. We've talked before about if somebody goes out there and really dominates, that NASCAR might not be real happy with that. How do you think they're going to react to your win today? Well,
I don't know. I mean, if we would have had qualifying on Friday, we'd have led 400. So, it's just part of it, and we came here to win. We're that type of team that we don't. When you're backed in the corner like this, what are you supposed to do? We're not going to ride around fifth all day and wait to take the lead at the end. That's not what we're made out of. We came here to lead laps and to do our job and to end up with that car in victory lane, and it's part of it. We've been over there 30 times, I think, now, and so looking forward to going back and taking on breakfast again Tuesday morning.
With WBCB, you went back and looked at the records, how cold it was in the past. How far back did the records go? Because I remember the first Delaware 500 here, it was this cold.
Well, that was long before me. I just looked through my records, which would have been.
Because I think it was about 45 that day. And there was and that day there were only 3 lap leaders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same as today.
Gotcha. I guess back 2003 was my first go around here, and it's never had a track temp this cold since then.
Unfortunately, a dinosaur like me goes back to 71.
Rodney, congratulations again, and welcome to the Contender 12.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Go ahead, Becky. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
Jason, there, we'll take you to your next stop.
All right.
Okay, we're going to continue on into our winner's press conference here for today's 46th annual AAA 400, joined now by race winner Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 Budweiser Jimmy John Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. Today, Kevin led a single race career high 355 laps. His previous high was 272 laps led at Richmond on May 6th of 2006. Most importantly, he delivered yet another clutch performance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, winning his way into the Contender 12 round. Kevin, walk us through this race today, and with all the pressure that you had going into this race, just talk about your performance and yet another clutch performance for the 14.
Yeah, I don't think there was really any pressure. I think for us, we all knew what we had to do, and it was really no different preparation than what we would do on a weekly basis. So, all in all, it was business as usual. And I think when you look at the first 3 Dover races that we've had here, it was definitely right in line with the things that we had done here before. Just didn't have any problems today. So just really, really proud of my group for getting the last little bit out of everything that they could. Everybody was flawless on pit road and up top, and everything just went well.
This is also the 750th win for Chevrolet in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. What's it like to bring home that record for Chevrolet?
Yeah, well, Chevy's been a big part of our sport, and obviously been very successful. So just really, really proud to be a part of that, and hopefully we can be a part of a few more.
Outstanding. We are going to open the floor to questions. We'll start with Jeff, and then we'll go to Kenny, and then to George.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I know you said there was no pressure, and you're just going out to do what you can do. But at the same time, I mean, you haven't won since March, and you've had a ton of good cars and a lot of great weekends, and haven't been able to put it together. So it's clearly winning is not easy, even if everything falls right. So how can you explain what happened today in terms of it was a high pressure situation, even if you didn't feel it? How did your team and you rise up to this level to deliver a clutch win like this?
Yeah, I don't really believe that we did anything different. We've led a lot of laps at a lot of different races, and it's like I've told you guys, these things go in cycles. The circumstances today were pretty straightforward. We didn't have any crazy endings, and we just came in, put tires on it, and we're fortunate to have a couple lap cars in between us a couple times to just have a straight up race. So I think as you look at last week, led a bunch of laps and didn't think it was close, and then wound up the car not having enough fuel in it because it just didn't get enough fuel in it. So we did everything. We did everything the same way last week. We've been in these situations a lot this year and haven't pulled it off. But there's no way to get frustrated. I mean, if you're going to get frustrated over running like we've run this year, you're probably gonna be a detriment to your team. And for us, it's something to where you show up on Monday and you do the same thing, whether you win or lose. And we've been through winless periods before, just like last year, and we've been through periods where we've won races in consecutive races. So it really isn't. It's just the nature of this team and what they do, and the character of it is deep, and they all believe in each other, and when you have a group of people like this, and that doesn't do things out of the ordinary for situations like this. They just look at it as another task at hand.
Go to Kenny, and then to George, and then to Kyle, and then the gentleman right over there.
Kenny Bruce from NASCAR.com. Kevin, I can understand, I think, why you don't feel like it's really a pressure situation given what your team's been able to accomplish and what you guys are capable of. But what do you consider to be a high-pressure situation? What would that be like for you?
Probably stepping into Dale Earnhardt's car. That was pretty high. There'll never be anything close to that one. So, I think that'll supersede any of these situations by a long way. So, when you look at the sport's biggest hero gone, you look at millions of race fans that are dependent upon somebody to drive that car, and you have 350 people that have jobs and families, and you're their guy. Never done it before, but good luck. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a lot of pressure.
George?
Yeah, George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. Sorry, we're kind of keeping the pressure theme going here, but you've had a number of these, as you called them last year, walk-off moments. Do you kind of embrace being in these situations as opposed to being,
Yeah.
in good shape, other than,
The payoff when you get in these situations is the rush that you get out of these types of situations, just from the situation itself throughout the day, and the moments are something that are a lot of fun to be a part of. Obviously, you don't want to be in these situations, but no matter what, when you get to Homestead, you're going to be in this situation. So if you're not ready for it, it'll eat you up. And luckily, I had, Tony Stewart and a lot of experienced people to help me through that week last year, because it was a lot different. And I think that those comments and suggestions of how you handle your week have just rolled over into things that we've done this year, and you just don't let those types of situations overwhelm you. And I think that's Zipadelli's pretty standard line, is don't let this week overwhelm you, because it'll be the detriment of you if you don't pay attention and keep yourself at bay. So just a lot of experienced people.
Kyle, then the gentleman in the next row, and then back to Nate.
Kyle Mag, the race chaser online. Kevin over here. I just want to go back to the last pit stop there when you took 2 tires. I know your car was really good today. When Kyle Busch took 4, did you think at all that maybe that he could get an advantage with that, or was your car just that good, even with those 2 tires that he took on earlier in the race?
Well, their cars didn't really run any faster or slower in the race when they took 2 tires. So, it took me 15 or 20 laps to get back around the guys that came out in front of me, and I just didn't think that losing control of the race was the right thing to do. I thought if we could keep control of the race and be able to control the restarts, because they get more intense as you go through the end of the race, and they have to step things up. So I just didn't want to lose control.
Dustin Holt, Times Record. Kevin, congratulations on your win today. What does it mean to win at a track as unique as Dover?
Well, I'm just happy we won, because Keelan keeps asking for Miles the trophy. So that'll probably be the only one that we don't put in storage with the rest of them. That it'll get to go in his playroom. So that's what he asked to do with it. So I'm just glad I didn't let him down.
Go to Nate and then to Steve.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kevin, when Rodney was in here, he was saying that the team really pulled out the stops the last couple of weeks and pulled out a couple of cars maybe they weren't intending to use earlier, like Dover this weekend in particular. And he said you guys didn't know what you were going to use it for Charlotte. Is there any concern on your part that so much was expended the last couple of weeks to make sure you got through that next round, that now it's time to play catch-up again in the second round?
I think I've driven here for 2 years, and I have no idea which cars I've raced. I have no clue. I couldn't tell you which ones I've driven or haven't driven. So I'm usually every time I get in them, they're fast. So I don't even ask.
Okay, we'll go to Steve and then to Dustin.
Steve Richards of PRN. Kevin, last week they talked about what if Harvick gets eliminated. How would the field, what the advantage would be. Now the reality is that Johnson was eliminated today. What does that do the rest of the way for the chase, at least the next round?
I don't even know who's been eliminated. So we're so narrow-minded in the approach that we take to things. It's really, you try to stay in your garage stall. You don't really look at the times on the board. You just try to focus on the things that concern you. We're just happy to be able to make it to the next round and be able to keep racing for a championship. So, like I say, I'm sorry I don't follow any of you guys on Twitter. I don't follow NASCAR on Twitter. I don't read stories. I don't go online. I just, I think it's better for us to stay focused on the people who are 100% in tune with our situations and around us, and keep things as positive as possible, to stay as narrow-minded as possible, because the more narrow-minded we can approach things, the more focused we're going to be on those narrow-minded things that we're focused on. So, everybody's bought into that. Nobody listens to the chirping, but we're just going to line them back up and see how it goes next week.
Well, and how much of a was when you took the checkered flag, how much of a relief was it that you felt? Was it like a big weight lifted off your shoulders?
I never really felt any pressure. I mean, I would have been more disappointed for my guys and for Stewart-Haas Racing than I would have for myself. I would have found a way to, to kind of cope with everything and move forward and do the things that going forward. I would have been more disappointed for the guys on my team, for the guys at the shop that put their heart and soul into all these race cars that we put on the track for Stewart-Haas Racing. So. I could have dealt with it myself. I've been through a lot of ups and downs in my life and career of things that you've had to handle, but a lot of those guys haven't, and I would have felt like I let them down more than anything, and would have felt bad, more for that than I would have myself for sure.
Okay, we'll go to Dustin, to Kenny, to Jeff, and then to Jim.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kevin, how much did the other title contenders blow it today by not beating you and not preventing you from advancing in this chase?
Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that. I know we did our job and we were able to to punch our ticket to move forward. So we're still in the battle and still looking forward to the challenge of just trying to make it to the next round. It's like I've told you guys before. Some stats are going to be ugly, some stats are going to be pretty. It's just a matter of how they add up and as to who moves on. So it sounds like it was pretty intense as far as the points go, and just got to go at it again. We live to fight another day.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com again. Kevin, I know you didn't spend a lot of time there, but what were your impressions of the changes in the restart zone?
I felt like I was in way more control today as the leader. Before, I felt like I had to do something to really jack everybody up to gain an advantage. I felt like, as the leader, I was in control of the race again. And I think as you look at the restarts and all the things that we've all, as drivers, been asking for, is when you're the leader, you should be able to make it to the first corner and feel like you're in control of that restart. That's how we've all raced as we've grown up. It's not a gimmick or a show. It's about the leader having an advantage that he's earned, whether it was on the racetrack, staying on the racetrack, on pit road. However you got to be the leader, you deserve to have that advantage kept. So I think today, as you look at the restarts, I felt like I was in more control than I had been all year or over the past couple years, and I felt like the start zone being widened out and being officiated correctly. Having to restart within the zone, the second place guy not beating not getting in the gas first. I feel like everybody got the message, and I feel like widening that zone out, gave me more options. When it gets to be so short, everybody knows that when you get to the second line, you're going to have to go because you're going to roll right through the zone if you don't. So, I definitely felt like I was in more control today.
Okay, we'll go next to Jeff, and then to Jim, and then we'll close it out with Zach.
Your answers just sound completely laser focused, which is similar to how you were late in the year last year. But I'm wondering if your comments toward the beginning of the chase had any impact. Was it you kind of caused a little bit of a brief firestorm for yourself talking about the JGR cars, and was that a reminder for you to close down the ranks to get laser focused? The fallout from that, did that have any impact on how you were approaching this going forward?
I don't think so. I think as we got started, and as the situation started to stack up there, I think it just, that circle had to get smaller. The noise had to get quieter, and we had to reel in exactly what we needed to be doing, and sometimes situations ignite that fuel. But I think as you look at the guys around us, I really feel like these situations make us tighter, stronger, better, believe in each other more, and we just gotta keep our nose down and grind away.
Jim, and then Zach.
JimMutterMotorsport.com. In some ways, today was kind of a surprising result. In other ways, it wasn't, in the sense that the team that's been pretty much the fastest the last year and a half advances to continue competing for the championship. Just for you, what has it been like the last 1+ seasons, almost 2 years, as for a racer, whether you collect wins or championships, but getting into a car without having to worry about whether you're going to be in a position to compete, and you are every race, that's got to be the pinnacle of a driver's career, isn't it? In some
Well,
space?
you know, for me, it's been about, all right, don't screw any of this up. You know, how can I contribute to make this better? And you know, I think a lot of those things were talked about before Rodney ever started at Stewart-Haas Racing on day one. You know, I think for me, you know, there's been a lot of things change over the last 4 or 5 years for me personally. You know, we put a lot of effort into how we live and where we live and what we own, what we don't own, just to try to make being parents better and, you know, be better on Sunday. So, you know, I think as you look at my situation is I have a group of people that believe in each other. I have a group of people that are experienced, and for me, as I've been able to get in these race cars, I don't worry about how they're going to run when I show up at the racetrack. I know they're going to run fast. We've run fast at virtually every race we've ever been to, and you know, for me, it's about, all right, look at your notes, look at the past history, look at the things that you've done, and you better be ready when you get onto the racetrack for the first lap of practice, because they are. And, you know, there's a sense of if I'm not prepared, I'm letting them down, because I know every one of them are prepared. There's never a weekend that they show up that they aren't prepared. So for me, it's almost been a good motivator to make sure that you show up prepared, you know, so you're not letting those guys down that did their job during the week.
Zach?
Zach Tansvetti, Fun Stretch. What did Keelan think about the Monster Mile Trophy in Victory Lane?
Do you like that trophy, Key? It's pretty cool. Yeah. For whatever reason, Miles the Monster is really the only one that he's been into. So we got him a stuffed animal to start the day just in case things didn't go very good. Got to cover your bases as a parent.
Well, good luck transporting the real Miles the Monster home, and good luck next week in Charlotte.